The next session is called Shooting for the Stars, a crossover of technology, reaching for the stars as the UAE has done. And this particular session has a crossover with music and AI. So, you know, tech in a different sphere. This is going to be expertly moderated by Oscar Wendell, who is from MCH Global. Please do give our very finale guests a very warm welcome. Thank you.
A truly historical moment when we bring together three generations of music titans, and I don't use that word lightly. We have Mr. Ralph Simon, Fernando Garibay, and OG Arabian Prince. Between the three of them, they have literally sold probably 1 billion records, and that is not hyperbole. Ralph Simon founded Jive Samba back in the early 80s, developing artists such as The Village People, Def Leppard, Will Smith, AC/DC, and in the 90s, Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. OG Arabian Prince is the most famous man you never heard of, probably. He is the co-founding member of the band N.W.A. and the co-producer of Straight Outta Compton with Dr. Dre. And Fernando Garibay has worked with more superstars as a producer than probably anyone in the world, I would say. He's a Grammy Award-winning producer of Lady Gaga's second album, Born This Way, and he also produced the first album, Fame Monster. What we're going to be experiencing here today is not just stories about songs past and shooting for the stars. We're going to be experiencing these men talking about technology and production and seeing it live in real time with the use of AI. I want to have Ralph entertain us for a while we get started.
We've got an interesting session for you now because we have on the stage with us, you see they're just preparing all of the technology. They borrowed all of this equipment from NASA, the space company in Florida that's used for the International Space Station, because if you're a DJ and you're making good music, you need to have good tech. So for example, they always say there are 3 important things to have if you're a good DJ. 1 is good tech, 2 is good music, and 3 is good luck. They don't need the luck, they've got all of that, but they're going to be doing some really special stuff for you, and you'll get a sense of seeing exactly how the real specialists in this field, very important, know how to DJ. And DJing is a real skill. Some say it's like being a virtuoso musician. Some say it's like being a virtuoso medical professional, because what you're doing is you're preparing something that touches people's emotions and touches their feet, because the better your music is, the faster their feet will dance, like that lady knows right there. Yes, you, man. Your feet moving yet? Not just yet. They'll move in a little while.
So Ralph, you started out as a keyboard player.
I started out as a keyboard player. That's correct. And then I realized after just one night that was not something that I was going to become a multi-billionaire playing the keyboard. So I changed and I got a triangle. And the triangle got me another job, which then made me a multi-thrillionaire, not billionaire, thrillionaire.
What is a thrillionaire?
A thrillionaire is someone who lives their life where everything that they do is thrilling. That's the key, so that your life is full of interesting thrills. Because after all, if you can have a life full of thrills, you have a really good life.
You're the most successful man I know.
No, that's what they say. But it's not true, but that's what they say.
Let's have a seat so we can hear what these gentlemen are going to be showing us in the next few hours. We got all the time in the world now, so we're going to take it. Welcome, Fernando. Welcome, AP.
Hello there.
So, what have you got set up for us?
Well, we are
So we're going to walk you through the history of the creative class, why it matters and why it's symbiotic to our future, and get us to where we're at now with technology and music and art, and to get us to the future, what it looks like with AI, and how can we all invest in ourselves and creativity to better output with AI.
So, do you use AI in music?
Yeah, so when I use AI, so I started using AI formally in 2011 when we had the first algorithm that would clone, equivalent to like a LLM model, clone audio, and so we would give it samples, and I had songs that I wrote with Lady Gaga, or whoever, or another artist, and we'd clone Katy Perry. And so we would feed the algorithm Katy Perry's voice, and we'd interchange songs. That was our first introduction to formal AI.
Before we lose the opportunity, I want to hear you tell the audience about the Garibay Institute and learning creativity as a skill.
So let's go. I have to backtrack a little bit. So my life is I've been known for making hit records and developing pop stars, much like these gentlemen here who are have actually an extraordinary background that we want to get to as well. But my history is I've worked on music that changed culture and it made an impact, essentially. And not in a sense of, when you think about impact investing, but more in a sense of as human beings. And so what I created, then flash forward into now, I created an institute that does this for communities that don't have a voice, or communities that want a different story told to the world.
So can anyone be creative? That's such a cliche question.
Yeah, so I also have a background in academia, so I teach creativity to, at Stanford, I teach creativity to world leaders, and so the answer to that is yes. We must quickly define creativity. Creativity is the ability to create, but it's also a skill that anyone can learn. And I can actually share some of the frameworks later, but anyone can learn this, anyone can be creative, but now I say you must be creative.
So Ralph just opened up by saying you got to be lucky, and I think you've been very lucky in life. First being named Fernando and getting all the ABBA records, as you just shared with us, but also getting to know Marauder, who invented disco. And then, to know is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah, Giorgio Moroder.
Yeah, just to give you an idea, he invented disco with Donna Summer and who else?
Inspired Daft Punk. I mean, he did the Top Gun soundtrack. Legendary guy.
And that led to you producing Enrique Iglesias and Ricky Martin, and getting to know Jimmy Iovine from Interscope, and that it went on from there. I mean, I just want you to share a little bit, like, you were in the right place at the right time. To what extent did you learn creativity, or you're just born a genius?
Okay, so I'll start from this. When I was very young, I learned the world. I tried to understand the world by how it made me feel. And everything came out of that. I was just trying to understand why things made me feel this way. Why things made me feel heartbroken or happy. And it was music that when I heard any sound, I would drop things on the floor and just listen to how they sounded as a baby. And yeah, you know that, right? So that's a different way of learning the world. And as we know, music predates linguistics, formal language, as the oldest way we communicated, as the oldest language. So that was innate, I think. That part was something that I was born with, but we all have it. It just was really loud for me. Everything was really loud, and I felt when I heard a noise, it made me feel something. And over time, I learned to articulate it. Like that's where the skill came in. And then I developed a skill that I can understand the world by how the noise made me feel, including language. And so I learned English through listening through lectures on broken radios. And that's how I learned English. And because I didn't understand the words, but I understood how the words made me feel. And from that perspective, I was able to learn language, formal language. So flash forward to meeting Giorgio Moroder and people of that extent as a 13-year-old going to university. Then at 16, I have my first #1 record. I realized that it's people. It was people that, luck is made with good people, the people that care about you. So the key to my success, besides training, is people, my love for people. So I started this journey of making hit records to realize that it wasn't music that I love. It was what's underneath that. It's I love people. So serendipity, luck, played a part in it, but my compass was very clear from the get-go, right? It was that how can I better serve humanity, each other, through love, that gave me the timing, I should say, rather than luck. The timing to be in a place where I found people that felt the same way as I did. And Giorgio Moroder, Jimmy Iovine happened to be some of the few that did.
Talk about timing and serendipity. I am so honored to have been introducing you with AP, and you're both from South Central.
Can I segue this?
Yeah.
Okay, so we grew up in the same part of South Central Los Angeles, and I'll start on this end first, and we'll get to this really quick. But Ralph is one of the most prolific executives that ever existed in the music industry.
Ever.
From signing AC/DC, Ozzy Osbourne, one of the biggest producers of all time, Mutt Lange, and it's just a slew of artists that shaped who we are today. Then we have the pioneer of hip hop, and this gentleman also was known as Professor X, right? That was your other career as a DJ producer. Created, alongside someone you might know, Dr. Dre, the most prolific rap group of all time, N.W.A. So straight out of Compton. So where I fit in this is, I'm like in the middle because we grew up in the same neighborhoods, South Central Los Angeles and Southeast LA. And I saw gangsters cruising to his music. And then one day, all of a sudden, we saw the same gangsters listening to Morrissey and British music, with being super sensitive and vulnerable, right? So I saw like a week of everyone dealing guns in their cars, from the cars, to all of a sudden those same dealers listening to really emotional music by Morrissey and the Smiths and Depeche Mode. And what I realized is not only these two gentlemen have a massive influence on the music I made, but also that music has the power to shift reality. It has the power to shift perspectives. And I think N.W.A. and your work has done that, at least in a very small part on my world and my side, but for society as a whole.
How many people here know what rap is? Anybody know what rap is? I'm sorry. My fault. My bad. No, so it's amazing that we are, ooh, my God, I'm old. I'm about 18, 19 years older than this guy. So, he listened to our music when he was young. But where I grew up in Compton, we did music that was a reflection of what was going on in our neighborhoods, what was going on in our streets. And, we were blessed enough to be able to take the music as an avenue and the music as an expression to let people in the world know what we were going through. And we had no idea whatsoever that expression would turn into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, would turn into Dr. Dre being a billionaire, and Ice Cube being on movies all over the place, and me traveling the world doing technology. So music, for anyone here who is in the music, who has a family member in the music, who has children that are bugging you to death or getting on your nerves because all they want to do is music, give them a shot, because that music is an avenue onto other things. I'm a technologist, I'm a futurist, but my first record I made when I was 16 years old, and I had no idea I would be from there to here with these amazing people on stage, but here I am, right?
Yeah, what really unites all the three of you is your use of technology. Ralph Simon is mostly known these days for inventing the mobile ringtone, creating the first global market for selling mobile ringtones, and heavily involved with Web3 today. And Fernando, you've really pioneered music production with technology, and not least when you did Straight Outta Compton, and now as a tech entrepreneur and founder of countless companies. It's such a joy to have you talk about technology and the role it take in entertainment, music, and creativity.
Can you share, starting with Ralph, if you may interject, share us the history where tech was when you started, what it, analog tape machines to how records were made, distributed physically, and then we can walk through each version of how it evolved as a technology, music as a technology, and equally distribution process as a technology, and why that matters. Who would ever think that we have a bunch of producers and musicians who have successfully exited a few companies who are building tech and working with new tech?
That's right. One's got to think, going back 20 years ago, the Linn drum machine. How many of you heard of a Linn drum machine? If you wanted beats, that's what you used. That gave you computerized, basically tape loops to give you drum patterns. Now, of course, this is all done digitally, and this was before digital, and this was at a time when music was being stolen to a large degree, and it was really until the world of streaming where a lot of the illegal use of music, and of course that would take music and the music royalties away from the makers of music, the writers of music, the producers of music. So things have definitely changed. Digital is good, and I would say with these two gentlemen here alongside me, they are definitely the GMM characters of the music business. Does anyone know what a GMM character is? Anybody? Okay. Good mischief makers. That's what they do. They're good mischief makers. They make great music and they make great experiences so that people can become trillionaires.
Wow, that's an amazing. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I'm going to use that back at home. But you know what? One thing that we are, and we talked about this on another stage, we are, in essence, movers of people. We look at you as an audience and figure out what makes you move, what makes you tick, how to make you happy, how to make you sad, how to make you feel a way that you felt when you were a child, that music that you heard growing up. We try to bottle that up and produce that and put that back out into the marketplace. And, when I first got to meet Fernando, it was such an amazing experience because, I followed Lady Gaga's journey and her music, and I was like, wow, there's so much feeling, there's so much into that music. And then when I met Fernando, I was like, oh, now I know why, because he knows how to tap into that secret sauce, that what we call, there is a certain formula to making hit records and hit music, as well as there's a formula to making great technology as well. And we'll get into AI soon because we've been having a long debate on AI. So tell me a little bit about the project with Lady Gaga and how you guys made that song on the road.
Yeah, I think the AI, I think is very important. If I can just touch on that for a second, music has always been a technology. Beyond being a language, music songwriting has been a technology, and it's a way to give the world access to their feelings. How many of us are songwriters? Raise your hands. Okay, one. Okay.
Two.
Two. How many write poetry? Okay. Okay, still a minority. How many keep a journal? Interesting.
Uh-huh. Okay, how many write messages on social media every single day? That's pretty much everybody, right?
Okay. So that's pretty much a majority. So what we see is, without this creative expression, we lack access to our unconscious, right? We lack access to our innermost, the human experience is not words. It's only 10% of our brain activity at most, and that's through our Broca center of the brain. So what gives us access to who we really are and what we really are the arts, and have always been a purveyor. The arts have always been our instrument and technology to have access to who we really are. And so that's something that we know when you discover the next big act of pop band, rock and roll band of all time, which you've done several times. And that's what you know when you create music that defines a genre and creates music that people can stand by and feel represented by, right? That deep understanding of what makes us human is what we're experts in. So what we realize as this space comes with ChatGPT is now a part of our everyday conversation, and we all use it, is AI is showing the world how valuable the creatives truly are. As we show what's not human anymore, we have to redefine and articulate what is human. And what is human is creativity, it's empathy, it's compassion, and it's these things that art has always helped the world understand. So if you don't write songs, great, we do it for you. That's why we're successful in what we do, because we can tap into that and give you that instrument for you to use to understand yourself. And that's what art is. So now you look at AI as a conduit of this, we see a future as creatives in which it's completely symbiosis. All essentially AI effectively does for us is fast track the process. It is not replacing the human capacity because it's so complicated. We still have not downloaded what consciousness is online yet, so there's no way to gather that data for ChatGPT to quantify or qualify. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, and we're also at the point to where I'm getting lazier and lazier because of AI, because I have a watch on my arm. Instead of looking at my watch, I'll go, okay, Google, what time is it? Okay, Google, change the channel. Okay, Google, do this, do that. But one thing Google cannot do, one thing at this point ChatGPT cannot do, is understand my feelings, understand your feelings, understand who you are as a person, because it's pulling from an enormous database of world knowledge, right? But it's up to us to tell and teach AI how to serve us better, how to give us what we need.
So, and this is this goes back to the consciousness question, right? At one point, so we can pattern recognize certain level of consciousness to a certain level of degrees, but we can't even do it ourselves yet. So we don't have enough of the foresight in the development of these algorithms to be able to do that yet, because we don't know ourselves. But that's not the argument we're trying to make here. The argument we're trying to make, essentially, at least on my side, is that as we bring this automation into our life, we discover that we crave to feel more. And that's what an epiphany. The more connected we are, the more automated, the more our lives get, the barrier of entry to technology gets lowered, the more we realize how lonely we get after that process, right? So that's critical, because when we outline that very point, then you go back to, well, AI is telling us how valuable it is to be human and how we could double down on being human and let AI take over the mundane stuff as keeping your schedule and telling you who you should network with, because it saves you time to be more human.
That's exactly correct. That's right. But loneliness is a big issue. And something that really helps to quell loneliness is music that touches people. Just look at someone like Taylor Swift and the impact of her music with all of the Swifties all over the world, hundreds of millions. She's got this movie that's just come out of her live entertainment show. It's taken over $100 million at the box office. $100 million. To have a huge hit in Hollywood, you've got to have a movie that can gross more than $70 million, and she's done this in the first couple of days of putting out a film of her live entertainment. She is great. So are we going to hear some music today?
Well, I think that with this opportunity of having the three of you on stage, we should allow for some questions before we let loose.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your insights and your information. Yeah, sure. So my question is regarding the using of AI and writing.
Turn up the volume, please.
Yes. So regarding writing music and using the AI, you know, as a singer, I know that when you, for example, sing a certain or say certain words during the singing, I use my emotions in order to express that kind of words specifically while singing. So I know, like, if I will compare it to the scientifically, I would say there are certain vibrations that maybe we as a human can, you know, describe that or like, understand it. And while hearing it, we know the expression of that kind of emotions. So I would say, would we reach by AI that kind of level where the AI would, express that in terms of, writing the music? I don't know if you understand my question.
That's a great question. So,
Yeah.
so can you think an algorithm understand the very nuanced component of how a vibration of a single voice chord can make, right? So I can prove now where we're at in a second, and I'll show. So I wrote like 5 songs over the past 2 years that I think were good references. So I can put Drake's voice on, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, Rihanna, etc., who are singing my songs, and it's AI doing it. And what I realized, and I've been doing this we do this in our studio all the time, but what it fails to capture is the deep essence of what these artists truly experience. So it can clone it really well, and to the untrained ear, it sounds like, oh wow, it really sounds like her. But there's still something missing. And I can give you what I think is the reason why. And does everyone know the law of thermodynamics? The first law? Does anyone know the second law? Okay, so the first law of thermodynamics is stored energy. And I use this reference as a proxy because when you read a poem or you read some literature and you just read it, like not really interested, you read it, you feel nothing, right? So first law is stored energy, locked energy. But if you read that same poem by Hume or whoever, and you read it with intent, with an open mind, an open heart, you then, whoa, like that was like you're crying, right? And so that's called a phase transition into the second law of thermodynamics, which is entropy. So that's what it still fails to capture. You see, when an artist sings a song and they're really in touch with themselves and understand their pain, they synthesize that into something we all can connect to. And it's that vibration that's so nuanced and so subtle that why we feel something when we hear Rihanna sing or Taylor Swift. That's why you have 20,000 people waiting outside Taylor Swift's concert who can't get in but are singing her songs outside. That's what can't be captured yet. And I can give you a demonstration of that later.
Yeah, and it's so funny. A business partner of mine is Ice-T, the rapper, and AI company used his voice to showcase what AI can do. And he sent it to me, and immediately, because like I said, to the untrained ear, you go, that's Ice-T. But to me, I know how Ice-T actually talks. So the AI said something like, hi, this is Ice-T. And when I go to the store to buy a Coca-Cola, I like it or whatever. But Ice-T, he can make the most simple things sound epic, right? Because he's such this intense guy. So Ice-T draws out his words, something that AI doesn't know. And Ice-T would say, yo, this is Ice-T. When I go to the store, I go get a Coca-Cola. And he draws it out. And when you hear AI, it sounds very, like you said, it has no emotion, it has no feel.
Because, and again, I make this argument that you might be thinking, well, algorithm can get to a certain point where we can pattern recognize and decipher all these nuances, right? I don't know. I'm not quite sure about that because it's the intent that can't be captured. It's the intent of the way he said, Ice-T would say something. And back to this, the only comparison I have is these laws of thermodynamics. There's something that gets unlocked, this phase transition that happens when you truly express yourself with intent. When I talk and I really care about what I'm talking, I can make the hair on your wherever raise, right? Because I am, with intent, knowledge transferring that information, that limbic information onto you. And without that transference of that limbic engagement, your heart, soul, onto a recorded medium, it can't get locked. And without that locking of that emotional information, you have no authenticity, so you feel nothing. That's what AI can't do.
You want to play some of those?
Yeah, let's play
Let's hear
some
some of
music.
the AI stuff.
Dance to
I want your
the
opinion.
music.
Share your opinion because you've been in a room with artists and how they synthesize trauma to create that very thing that makes all of us connect and want to learn more about this
Yes,
process.
a lot of artists like to get creative tension in the recording studio, or now, of course, recording at home. because with so much software on laptop computers, people doing it all at home, and in fact, now will be an opportunity to really hear two great professionals who have a deep understanding of how to create those moments.
Performing together for the first time, Fernando Garibay and OG Arabian Prince.
Yeah, let's hear it from them. Give them a big round of applause.
So we'll take you through a quick history of some of our hits, but I want to have Arabian do that. We're going to mix it up. But I do want to share this very case point because I think you brought up a great question. We're at this threshold of humanity where we're looking at this existential threat of AI replacing what humans do. And again, I argue that we're doing the opposite. We're actually showing how we're more human than ever and how we need to expand on being human and understanding the world through our feelings. Without obviously limiting the biases, but I'm going to show you. So I wrote this song and with one of our artists, and I can't mention who the artist is, but it wasn't Drake. And so I'll show you the original. And here's the original with the original vocal.
I had to go to jail for the talk. I hit you when I come back to New York. I could be a piece through the wall. I could be a Tupac or Shakur. You don't wanna get that body. I ain't never trust nobody. Wife no side piece. Put her on the ice like hockey. I be ASAP like Rocky. Getting that broccoli. Wish a nigga would try to stop me. Let it ring off like the boss papers. You know I get money, little bitch. I've been on paper. You know we was on the wrong side and the Lord saved us. Cheers with the mind. Gotta watch you going crazy. I be in my prime and I feel like LeBron Brady. You know that I'm gone, but you know that you my lady. We can make it run like this forever and fly, baby. I had to go to Europe for the tour. I hit you when I come back to New York. I could be a piece through the wall. I could be a Tupac or Shakur. I had to go to Europe for the tour. I hit you when I come back to New York. I could be a piece.
So let's get Drake in here now.
I could be a Tupac or Shakur.
I can be a beast to the wall. You can be with me, I give you more. We having them dreams we can solve. You can be that woman I adore. I thank you, my Lord. Gave me this vibe, we went out wide. I had to do it, I had to go hard. Doing this for me, doing this for us. I had to go to jail for the talk. I hate you when I come back to New York. I could be a piece to the bar. I could be a Tupac or Shakur. I had to go to jail for the talk. I hate you when I come back to New York. I could be a piece to the bar. I could be a Tupac or Shakur.
There you go. So no one's ever heard that before. We never released it.
And I don't think Drake never heard that before either.
So that's not Drake, obviously, but you hear the difference. You hear, I can't say who the other rapper is, but he's pretty amazing. But yeah, but you hear the difference in someone who means it, even if you don't understand like what he's saying, you feel the intent. And that's the big difference is we can get really close to faking it, but without expressing true intent, like what you're really feeling, like you can't discount all the struggle that you've been through in your life, and these masters who are able to turn that struggle into something you connect with. They're telling your story in which ways you can't, right? And so that's the amazingness of what artists do. And I think we're going to start to show the world as time goes forward that that can't be replaced.
Yeah, and one of the big issues right now with AI is, if you've seen on TV or you've heard, is that they'll show AI actor or an AI artist that's not the real artist. The problem is, and the legalities of it that are being fought right now, is the fact that who owns this content? If you use AI to create a Drake song with Drake's voice, who actually owns that content and who should get paid for that content? So that's something that's, I believe, as an artist, no matter who makes it, if it's my voice, if it's my style, I should get paid for it. But there's a big fight on that.
The answer to that, I think, lays in we can't solve the same problems with the same mind that created it. We have to get outside the boundaries of what we understand of authorship to move towards the next innovation of this epistemological question is, what is truly yours? For the history of time, we called originality and authorship as yours because you wrote it down on paper and you published it, etc. That's not really how essentially authorship works. Authorship, any creation of any intellectual property, content, music, film, etc., is derivative of the past. It's built on past. It's built on combinatorial, which is combining ideas from the past. It's built on a cumulative model, which means combining and adding to those ideas and accumulating them over time, and you hope to get something original.
All right, let's hear another one.
Okay, so this is another song we wrote, and it's called Used to This, again, unreleased, but I'll showcase a little bit of this so then we can release it later. But here's the demo singer, our songwriter friend who sang it. And then I'll show you the pop star that sings after.
Hold me close now, 'cause I ain't used to it, baby. Hold me close now. Yeah, I gotta learn so deep, more than you'll ever know. So please, too good to let you go. Love, can you hold me? 'Cause I ain't used to being loved like this. I ain't used to being loved like this. Baby, not love. Hold me close now.
Okay, so now the new singer comes in.
Yeah, I gotta learn.
Rihanna.
I gotta learn so deep. Love that don't ever know. So deep, too good to let you go. Love, can you hold me? 'Cause I ain't used to being loved like this. I ain't used to being loved like this. Baby, not love. Can you hold me close? 'Cause I ain't used to being loved like this. I ain't used to being loved like this. But I wanna learn. Yeah, I gotta learn.
That's Rihanna singing AI with one of the songs we wrote.
And you know what's crazy about AI is how fast it's moved. I mean, last year we didn't hear this. So within the last year alone, we've seen such an advancement in AI. So we talked about this earlier. How soon do you think we're going to get to where AI is pretty much just dominating everything we do?
Well, I think as you see, I'm using it as a tool. I just can't get here in the studio, so I'm going to just use a demo, right, of her voice. But I wouldn't release this without her singing it, because I still don't think it still captures, again, this transference of intent, this transference of emotions. It's not there. Will it get there? Yeah, I think it's getting there where we can enjoy it, right? But there's still, think of it as a commodity. When you think about it as a commodity, you're seeing this higher value for handmade goods, right? Like if you buy something from a boutique like Hermes or a really high-end brand, I think that's a good proxy example that I think humanity is going to seek the true artist, the true recording, that's where we're heading toward this space. But you can hear it's getting very convincing. But I still can't get that effect without a great song. I still can't get that effect without a great singer singing my demo and then just drop it on one of these platforms to shift the vocals for Rihanna's algorithmic version. Yeah, we can't do this without the human still. And we won't be able to do this at a level of authenticity without the human.
Right. Amazing. Any words from you guys over here? They mighty quiet over here.
Oh, you're howling it just fine. Come on, keep going. I want to hear more.
So I'll give you a few more examples, and I'll take any questions before we continue.
Yeah. Oh, we got people. Let's get the mic. Roll that mic. Where's the mic? Oh, it's coming. It's kind of cool when people ask questions. It makes you feel like you're needed, you're wanted.
You take the whole DJ,
you know?
you get the feedback, right? You know exactly what they want to ask and what they're interested in. Oh yeah, perfect.
All right. Thank you folks so much. I think there's such need for this kind of creative spreading like that we need in the world. You folks are talking about pop culture, and there's something really beautiful about pop culture in terms of us being able to sing a song and share it and having this sort of communal experience. But I think also we need much more of the creatives. It's not like we can always benefit from more poetry, but we need more poets in the world, whether they're professional or the amateur. We always could benefit from more music, but we need more musicians and more jam nights and stuff like that. And I'm wondering your thoughts on how we promote and build this momentum in terms of as we're figuring out what it is to be a human in this crazy time. How do we get more of those creators and not have it just be about the commercial or the pop culture, but spread that around? Like maybe some of you artists could like spark dozens or hundreds of jams or creation experiences or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it starts with education, and it sounds cliche, but the reality is, what I mean by education is, first of all, we must articulate very clearly that everyone is creative, right? It's a skill that we can all learn, essentially, through practice. And if you don't learn it as a skill, you limit your innovation, you limit the growth and evolution of humanity. And so, specific to talent and poets and the creative class, I built an institute called the Garibay Institute to showcase a new value proposition for the creative class. And that is they're capable of telling stories of communities, stories through film, stories for empowerment and representation by empowering diasporas from around the world, from the Middle East to Mexico, by showcasing their art and working and learning from producers, filmmakers that are already very successful. That's the kind of arbitrage we do with the Garibay Institute, a healthy arbitrage that gives access of knowledge to communities that might not have this access. There's only a few of us, producers, filmmakers, that are at the top level. And then that's the question is you have to ask yourself, why are there only a few highly prolific creatives that can output at this level? One of the answers lies in the availability of distribution. But I think the bigger answer to that question is, why are they capable? Why are people like Ralph, like Arabian Prince capable of doing that high level of output? It's because they have a deep understanding of what makes them human and are able to synthesize their pain and their life experiences in something we can all relate to. And that's the key. That's how you get more poets, is to empower that knowledge to next generations.
Hi. So just on the back of what you're saying, so it's like a two-level question. The first one is, so is it fair to say that there are some circumstances, like Lauryn Hill, for example, famously said she wasn't able to make another album after Miseducation of Lauryn Hill because of what she went through to get that content, right? Is it fair to say that under some circumstances, AI may never fit in music, circumstances like that? Right, because you were saying about Adele as well, similarly. Secondly, I'm wondering, when you're speaking to artists, what are the conversations that they're having about this at this moment in time? Like, how do they feel about it? Have you had conversations with artists, Ice-T, others, about this, and what are they saying also?
Yeah, So I'll speak to the first one. There's something interesting in what you said. If you're into hip hop or you knew who a rapper named the D.O.C. was. He was part of the N.W.A. camp. He was one of the top, not DJs, one of the top rappers at the time, the D.O.C. And during his first album, which was a smash hit, it went platinum, he got in a terrible car accident which severed his vocal cords. And now, to this day, he talks with a very, very bad, raspy voice, right? Like this, and you can hardly hear him talk. AI will help him do another album if he wants to go down that route, because as a writer, he's such an amazing writer. He wrote most of the stuff on, Dr. Dre's albums and some of the N.W.A. albums. So for him, I think AI is going to be a blessing to help him create and express himself and hear his voice, even though he personally can't do that himself.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid we've been beaten by the clock. Not beaten by anything other than that. So we'd like to thank you for being part of this. Please put your hands together, and a big round of applause, Fernando, to AP, the Arabian Prince, also to Oscar Wendell, who's the man that put it all together. We hope that you found that this was intuitive, instructive, interesting, and that it gave you some idea of what happens in the creative process. Of course, if you can be creative, whether it's in tech or in computers or in music or in your thinking, the whole idea is to think of what's coming next and how you can be part of it.
The stroke of genius by the ENS organizers to get such talent over such generations, genres.
Oh, they want to take a photo real quick.
We're going to get a photograph. Fantastic.